All right. So, Joe, here's another thing that one of my buddies have sent us an email asking about. Have you ever had a client who has a certain view on politics, religion, economy, whatever, and he's not shy about talking about it, and you have somebody on the team who kind of have the same view, and they start talking a lot? And we both know that stuff like that can backfire.
Oh, yeah.
Is that something that has ever happened to you, or you know anything about, or can you imagine the problem that you can face with this?
Yeah, it's actually almost harder sometimes when you align with a client, because that comfort level kind of makes you, let's say like over communicate and then just talk and open up too much. So it can sometimes actually be harder in my experience than if I don't align with the client. They ask me a question, I give an answer, and we just kind of move on. But if I align, I had a personal experience where I had a client that he was into guns and he would like to shoot and everything else. And I had the hardest time not kind of jumping in there and doing it with him.
Oh, yeah.
And so that was something that I personally dealt with. And then another one, and this one was more along the lines of the politics, was we had a client who was way off to one side of things. And then one of the team members, a new team member, was as well.
Okay.
And he was super eager to, work for this individual because he knew of them. Obviously, they're aligned like that.
Yeah.
And it was on a car ride. And client, kind of puts his phone down and leans over and asks the question to me in the right front seater about, what do we think? I kind of, naturally just deflected. And he just opened up. And they had this conversation that must have been better part of an hour. And it was just going on and on, just going back and forth. And then a new topic would come up and they would just start talking louder and louder and just.
But in agreements?
In agreements.
Okay.
In agreement. Okay. And not a debate. It was a total agreement. If you were on the outside, you would think it was a good thing. I'm sitting there thinking like, this is going to be bad. Like that, I don't know how yet, but it's going to be bad.
I can relate. I can relate.
And pretty soon after that, this was on so it was the next trip. It was before the next trip. Client actually says, hey, so, so-and-so, he's a good guy. And I said, yes, sir, I agree, And he says, but might not be the best to be on this trip with us. He tends to talk too much. So there it is.
Interesting.
There it is.
Yeah,
so the client knew that, he talked too much. He opened right up when the opportunity
topic came up.
Even though they agreed.
Passionate about it.
Even though they agreed, he opened up too much. So.
Wow.
Yeah, and like I said in the beginning, I've found that to be sometimes even more challenging than when you disagree with a client on a topic, because then you want to talk about it and you want to make that connection and everything else.
It's kind of, I've seen it a little bit when we go to a place where somebody loves to go, or we go to somebody's home country or hometown, and they're over eager to kind of like recommend things. Have you ever had that as well? I mean, that is a recipe for disaster as well.
Yeah, because not only do you not know for sure that they're going to have that same interest and like that you have, but you don't know about it's a third party. So how do you know if they're having a bad night or?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. That's so
I guess kind of like the answer to this is that even if you know the answer, or if you're aligning with the client or whatever, don't overshare, don't over-communicate.
Right.
Always kind of like try to
keep it safe.
The minimum and keep it safe. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, boring is safe.
Absolutely. There's also the story the joke back from the touring days, when you're on the tour bus and you're driving into a new city, and there's two agents, an older agent and a young agent on the tour bus, and the drummer comes over and go like, let's say they're driving into Reno, Nevada. The younger guy is sitting up front of the bus. The drummer comes over and he goes, hey, man, what's going on a Thursday night in Reno, Nevada? We don't have a show tomorrow morning. What's going on?
Yeah.
The younger guy started looking on his phone and coming up with all of these things that they can do. Totally wrong. The older guy would look at him and go like, Reno on a Thursday night? Probably not much. We should just go to bed.
Yeah, I can see that.